This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
Hold on. There we go. We got a billboard out of your face. How you feeling, brother? You feeling good?
Feeling good. Oh, how are you?
Pretty good. I would imagine Jim Larinaga is feeling a little better, picking off I think it's a guard, right? From
Kind of a
FSU.
three, kind of a replacement for Isaiah Wong.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, a good player, guy their leading scorer.
Is Wong really leaving, or is he gonna?
No, he's definitely gone.
He's definitely gone.
Yeah,
okay.
I don't think he's coming back. No,
I think it was a terrible decision for him to leave.
Seriously, listen, he tested the waters. He tested the waters twice before. I think you're only allowed to do it twice. If you do it a third time, you have to go. So.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that. That's the rule. Okay, it's just shit changes year to year, minute to minute. I have no idea already at this point. All these crazy ass rules. I think it was a terrible decision on his part because I think he'll be lucky to get drafted in the latter part of the second round. He'll be lucky. You know what I mean? He could have stayed here and probably make a little bit more money with the NILs and then take your chances because you're probably going to be playing overseas anyways, kid. You'll be somewhere in France or some shit playing basketball, I think. That's kind of what I expect him to do. But selfishly, I would have liked him to stay because he would have made the Canes a little better. By the way, do we know his NIL deal?
Cleveland's NIL deal? No, there's no announcing of that these days. That doesn't get put out now by our buddies at Life Wallet.
Why?
I think they're just looking for less trouble these days. You know, I think sometimes when you advertise that stuff, you bring it upon yourself.
Right. Yeah. Right. It does. Nobody benefits from advertising, so might as well keep it under the radar. All right. Let's move over to football now. They got themselves. Okay, so wait a minute. Am I supposed to get excited about a Vanderbilt corner?
Well, listen, I realize he's a Vanderbilt corner.
I know one thing. Academically, he's definitely raising the standard. So
correct.
Go ahead, finish it off there on the football side.
Well, both of the kids that they got, they got two kids last night, a cornerback and a running back. They're both Louisiana natives. So obviously, you think about Louisiana and the coaching hires Mario Cristobal made with his coordinators, right? Both of those guys obviously know these kids. They recruit in Louisiana, go back home. So there's a reason they took them for that reason. But as far as Jadaeus Richard, he was a 4-star recruit coming out of high school. He was one of the few 4-stars that actually picks Vanderbilt coming out of high school to go play there. So smart kid, 6'2", about 197 pounds, long arms. Obviously you think Vanderbilt and you think, okay, bottom of the barrel. It's still an SEC school. Still a quality program in the sense that they get good players. They just can't win. So
I think academics.
Yeah. And I like smart cornerbacks.
Except for Jay Cutler, but everything else, I think academics.
I'll take a smart cornerback. Look, they need all the help they can get. I mean, they were pretty terrible in pass coverage last year, and they had two guys drafted off that team. So I think the change in scheme, being more aggressive up front with Guidry is going to help all of those cornerbacks. But you want a guy with some size. Corey Couch and Daryl Porter Jr. are not big cornerbacks, and those are two of your three best. And the kid Devontae Brown, probably not fast enough, the transfer they got from UCF. So this kid, I think, physically might be their most impressive corner on the roster, Jadaeus Richard. So,
how about Jay Ajayi Allen?
Ajayi Allen. I think
it's not Jay Ajayi Allen. Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Ajayi Allen. I think he's a pretty good player from what I understand. I mean, he only played in 4 games last year for Nebraska. Nebraska obviously was pretty terrible the last decade or so.
30 years?
Yeah, about 7-8 years. I don't think they've had a winning season. Yeah, they're pretty terrible.
It's been 20 years that they've kind of been in the.
Yeah, they kind of fell apart right when Miami did, right? Yeah. Right around the same time. Anyway, but this kid Allen is fast. He's explosive. They called him Quick Six in high school. Because he's very fast, ran for 2,200 yards as a senior in Louisiana, which to me is kind of impressive. The high school talent in Louisiana is pretty good. And a guy that comes in and immediately, I think, contends for playing time. I think he's fast enough, explosive enough. We know Don Chaney's health record here at Miami. We know Trevante Citizen still isn't back from his knee injury, and you basically had 2 scholarship guys carrying the rock in the spring. You don't want to go to a walk-on. So I think he's very good insurance, and an interesting player to watch. Both of these kids, by the way, a lot of eligibility left.
Yeah, that's right. I did notice that they were they've only lost 1 year so far, right?
They've only played 1 year, and one of them, I think, got a red shirt. AJ Allen only played in 4 games, so he got a red shirt at Nebraska. So he's still got 4 years left, and the Richard kid from Vanderbilt has 3 years left. So a lot of playing time left. These aren't just one and done guys. These are guys that hopefully you can grow them in your system. And like I said, both of the coordinators know them well, so that's a plus.
Okay. Anybody else on the radar here?
Yeah, I mean, obviously they're still trying to land that defensive tackle. They need that big monster up front. I think Gabby Urrutia from Inside the U just put out a tweet saying that one of the guys that they were after, Tyrone Malone, who we've talked about a few times here on the show with you. Oh, it looks like he was probably headed to Ohio State. So again, you compete against the Ohio States and Georgias and Alabamas of the world. You're probably not going to win 9 times out of 10. And
You
so
gotta
it looks,
start winning on the field, bro, for that to
yeah.
happen.
Right, and so that's the kind of piece that you could use here. Unfortunately, it looks like he's going to be headed that way, but there are still other options. They had Kiwi Rose, who was here from Louisiana Tech, a grad transfer, who was on campus. We'll see what decision he makes, where he decides to end up going, if he picks Miami or not. They've had some JUCO guys that were here, offensive linemen, Amari Wiggins. They had a receiver here from California, and another JUCO kid. So they're in it. The word I got yesterday from some people in the department was they're expecting more commitments later this week. We'll see who it is.
Yeah, and part of this whole thing, it's the race to recruit NFL draftable players.
Mm-hmm.
Because that will lead you to results, and then that gets you the wins, and then if you get the wins, you get the guys drafted, and then you have that cycle that Alabama and Ohio State and obviously Georgia has going on right now, that all those parents and siblings and kids are watching that university win and their players go off to the NFL, that they drafted 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 15 kids. And when they see that, that's when Mario is going to be recruiting the same kind of players and winning all those wars against Georgia, Alabama, and Ohio State.
And I will point out that to support your argument, the Jadaeus Richard kid from Vanderbilt, when he talked about why he picked Miami, he said, "Look, they just had 2 cornerbacks drafted." So believe it or not, yes, they do think about that. Oh, there's no question. They think about who's putting guys in the NFL, who do NFL teams come and talk to when they're looking for cornerbacks, and so I think Miami, that having those guys drafted helps. Every time you get a guy drafted at a certain position, it helps your argument when you're recruiting guys.
Yeah, like we talk about Francis Mauioga. What is it again?
Mangoa. Yep.
Yeah, that guy better be a stud, and he better be drafted high in the draft because he's the bait that's going to lead to get you some other guys out there. You know what I mean? And this is the arms race that they've got to get back to winning. It was fun for us we used to count how many first rounders they would get, drafted every year. And it got to a point where we took it for granted. And now we watch and we see how difficult that was, what we used to take for granted, what these coaches were accomplishing and the talent that they were bringing here, bro.
Yeah, and the one thing I'll say is, you look at other programs that haven't necessarily won championships the last couple of years, that have sort of quote unquote fallen off. The LSU's and Clemson's, who only won championships a few years ago, they're still recruiting at a high level. Why? Because they keep putting guys in the NFL. Right. Because the kids see that, and even if they don't win championships, even if they don't get to the playoffs 2 years in a row like Clemson, kids still know, hey, that team won a championship a couple years ago, and they're still putting guys in the league. And Miami has been so far removed from that's the challenge Mario Cristobal faces.
Yep. What do you got working at the Athletics so folks can check you out?
Well, I put out a new story today, actually, a mailbag answering a bunch of questions about all of the state schools. Somebody asked me about which NIL collective is the strongest. of all the state schools. They asked me some questions about whether or not I think Florida State can be a top 5 recruiting program this year. Asked me about the Gators, UCF. So a lot of state recruiting and NIL talk in that mailbag piece that I just put out for the other. I even got a USF question. So there's a little USF conversation in there as well.
Wow, you're making 2 people happy. All right, follow me on Twitter at Manny_Navarro. That's Manny_Navarro. More importantly, subscribe to The Athletic, even if you're a USF fan. Subscribe to The Athletic. We've got you covered, baby. We've got you covered. Manny, thank you, my brother. We'll catch up on Friday.
All right, good talking with you.
You got it. There you go. Canes, we're at 2511 South University Drive in Davie. Go see Brett and Jeff, all the great people out there, man. They'll take care of you. They got anything and everything with a Canes logo on it. They got a lot of Inter-Miami gear here. Tonight we got the U.S. Open Cup, right? We got the Charleston Battery in town. Let's see if we can advance to, what is it, the 5th round of the U.S. Open Cup or whatever it is. So let's see. They beat Miami FC last week. Now they've got to beat the Charleston Battery and move on. So we will find out there. And remember, you can go to Caneswear, Inter-Miami gear, Dolphin gear, Heat gear, Panther gear, and, of course, a ton of University of Miami gear. When you order over $99, you will get free shipping. Go to Caneswear.